I'll open us up in prayer. God, even though we're a small crew tonight, we just ask for your blessing on our time and our conversation, and just lead us to discuss where you take us. In Jesus' name, amen. So I asked Colleen quickly there about getting ready for conference. I know that I guess three of us are going to be there on the call. I know Steve, you can't go, right?
That's correct.
So we will have some kind of write-up in the next newsletter about conference. It'll come out after conference. Now, Colleen, I know that you are. I'm going to let you talk, but I'll mute my mic after I ask you a question. I know that you are. Hey, Gary. I know that you're doing a workshop with Tony, and I don't know. I'm not sure what your workshop is that you're doing with Tony, but at our next network gathering in the fall, we're asking people who were going to conference and either doing a workshop or attending a workshops, like to share. And it's not like doing the whole workshop, but just sharing, like in 15 minutes or so, like a 15-minute block of what you did, and as well as sharing like some of the main points. And we'll probably try to find like 4 people going and presenting something. But what's the exact topic, and B, would you be willing to do that? So I'll turn my mic off. And Gary, turn your mic off because something's going on with Colleen's mic, and when we're all off and she's on, she's fine.
Okay, can you hear me now, David? David? Okay. I don't know if I'll be doing a presentation or not. It was supposed to be for the family size to pastor size cohort group, but Tony has not gotten back to me at all, and I sent him an email recently. It was not listed in that new application you could download about all the sessions, and we were not listed. So if we have it, I'll be glad to present it in the fall, but it might be that, it just wasn't going to be done at this conference.
Yeah, probably so I guess I'm trying to think in our network who all's going to conference. I know, Joy's going to be there. You're going to be there, Colleen. I know Barry. Kathy's going to be there. Barry. I don't see Kathy. I think Kathy.
And Robin. And
Dwight
Marcus, who is our vice moderator of the board. He will be there.
We can ask other people. Maybe we can and sort of talk to people about what workshops they're doing, try to line up with the fall gathering. Sort of share that. Am I breaking up too much? Oh, Colleen she turned her mic off, so I'm okay now.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Joy.
Hi, I couldn't hear any of that last, whatever statement you made, David.
You can't hear? Oh, because it was because of the muffling. When we get to conference, we can sort of try to get together as a network at some point and sort of see who's doing and going to what workshops, and then while we're there at conference, find 4 people that are willing to share something. I know Barry is actually doing one of the workshops on pastoral care. No, on stewardship. and but trying to find a group of others that would be willing to share at the fall gathering, like 15 minutes or so, or less, depending on about sort of the main points of one of the workshops that they had attended, so we can try to get that lined up when we're there next week.
Who all did we hear is going to be at conference again? I heard Barry and Robin, David, you and Jeff are there, Colleen.
The vice moderator of the board at Louisville.
What's his name?
You want to turn your mic on real quick?
It's Dwight Marcus. Having Kathy and Robin, Barry and Robin, and we're having myself and Dwight Marcus.
So you guys have a pretty big contingent going.
And Stacy's coming with me.
And nobody from West Virginia is going to be there. I'm not even sure if Todd's going.
What about Columbus?
Say it again?
Columbus?
To Pittsburgh. Oh, Gary. Is anybody going from Gary from Columbus?
No, I'm afraid not.
So, so basically the three most eastern churches, I don't think anybody's going. I think Lillian is going to be there. That's why she didn't go to the gathering in the spring. As far as I know, nobody from Cincinnati is going to be there. So that really only means half the churches will have somebody there. So at Life Journey, we will have 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll probably have about 8 or 9 or 10, but half of those people are there because Life Journey's doing the children's ministry during conference, and so there's a budget for that, and so we're sending a group of people on that budget to do that at conference. So they're not going to be attending workshops; they'll be taking care of the kids. So did everybody see the newsletter that I sent out, Standing with Orlando?
Yes, that was very nice. Thanks for doing that, David.
I got an email back from Nancy, and I got emails back from 4 people on staff at Joy MCC. And the pastor down there, Terry, was very, very, thankful in and all about what the network is doing and how churches were praying for her. Nancy commented in an email how nice it was to see a network communicating that. It's probably good to sort of show what we're doing, and that it's more than just the elders sending out emails, guiding everybody what to do, to show that we're proactive. And Steve, I did include a small paragraph in there about West Virginia because that happened at the same time when the newsletter was going out.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you so much.
Well, so I guess let's quickly go around our churches and right before conference, what we just had Pride, and everybody's been having special services for Standing with Orlando. So what is going on? Well, we'll start with you, Gary. What's going on in Columbus?
Well, Pride actually worked out really well for us this year. I had more people volunteer at the booth than I thought we were going to have. It was actually very exciting to sit and watch members of the congregation sharing their faith with all of these different people who came up to, like, what is new creation? What are you talking about at a gay church and that kind of thing? It's actually exciting to watch members just step up and say, well, this is where I'm at, and this is what I'm thinking, and this is, and asking different people what they were looking for, what they were hoping for in a faith type thing. So that actually, it was very, very encouraging. And the church is gaining a more positive image of itself and stepping out a little bit more on faith. It was great to get the newsletter. I printed it off, the one that you did there, David, and posted it on the bulletin board. And well, we started service late because everybody had to go read the newsletter and pay attention to what everybody else in the network was doing.
How did the prayer box go at Pride?
Actually, all of those things. That was interesting. Just to observe what people were, how they responded. And we had a bunch of. One of the members made a whole bunch of stained glass sun catchers, and so as people came, they would pick up one of those as a souvenir to remember to do something about Orlando, as far as, well, should we pray about it? Should we talk to people about it? Different kinds of things. So that was kind of cool too.
So Joy, what about Dayton?
We had quite a week. Before I tell you that, though, I just wanted to make sure I put in that I'd really like to talk about the candidates before we sign off tonight. In terms of what we did in Dayton, I was busy all week, and I'm sure some of you felt that way too. It was hard to be struggling with that reality myself while trying to have a public face and a comforting presence. There were more than one vigil, but the biggest one was truly citywide, and there were about 1,000 people at it, and that was amazing.
That's amazing for Dayton.
Yeah. Well, it was, yeah. Our LGBT center is pretty good at getting the word out, and they organized it. And our mayor, 2 city council members, 2 county commission members came and spoke. It was something.
Are there plans for the summer after conference?
Well, I started a children's ministry. We meet every other week. And then our adult Bible study continues. We'll see what else we get into. But one of our things recently was we had our church picnic, and at it we did a lake baptism. And that was my first time, so that was pretty fun.
How deep was the water?
Well, it was a 10-year-old boy, so we didn't go in very deep.
Oh, then it wasn't as fun then. I'm just kidding.
Well, what was fun is he was as serious as he could manage to be during it, and then when it was over, the other kids were dying to get in, so I said, "Okay, everybody in," and all the kids got in, splashed around together.
Oh, that sounds cool. I mean, it's been a while since I've done a lake baptism, but those are meaningful.
Mm-hmm. So I've done 4 baptisms in the last 8 months, so I'm really happy about that.
Really cool. Yeah, it's exciting. Were some of them first time, or some of them like reconfirming?
Oh, that's all first time.
It was all first time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, Colleen, what about Louisville?
Well, it's been busy in Louisville as well, and like what Joyce said, we had a great gathering. We have a very active fairness campaign in Louisville, and while we were still at church and doing our fellowship, they came out and said that they were having a gathering that evening after we had found out about Orlando. And so I don't know how many people were there, but we have what they call a Big Four bridge, which is a walking bridge that goes from Louisville over to Indiana, and it was just packed. People could not even get up on the bridge, so that was wonderful. But everything else has been going right along. We had the beginning of a new book study on forgiveness by Adam Hamilton, and I have another class tomorrow, and then we're break for 2 weeks since we have the conference. We also have a new student intern who's going to be starting with us in July. And so we're excited about that. He's coming from the Presbyterian Seminary. So I was working with him today, and I'll be finishing up tomorrow on learning covenants. And he is not yet a member of MCC. We'll be having him come on board probably sometime in August or beginning of September. We are right now working, planning ahead. September the 17th, we have another Pride festival in Louisville, and this one is in the Highlands area where our former church used to be. And so we're going to be there. We're going to have a booth and really put a lot of presence into it. And then the following Sunday, we're talking about having a homecoming service and have it outside on the lawn where our church is right now, and have a fellowship meal afterwards. One of our members, her husband has a smoker, so we're going to do a smoked brisket and then have all the side dishes brought in by the congregation. And it should be a really lively affair. We're going to do our music outside, the sermon will be outside, the eating will be outside. So we're looking forward to that. So there's a lot going on, a lot that we're planning for. I'm leaving Saturday morning, and while I'm gone, I've got two of our former pastors. They are going to be preaching in my absence, and we've had some people who have been sick at the church, so we laid hands upon them on yesterday for upcoming surgeries, and some of them is skin cancer issues. So, but other than that, I think the mood is positive. We were deeply saddened by the events of Orlando. We lit candles on Sunday, and we're going to continue to do this on the anniversary each month, light candles for all of those through the end of the year, and then see if that's something we want to continue on for quite some time, because we realize that when a tragedy happens, the media soon moves on to the next tragedy. And I said, we do not want to forget. So that is our intention, and I hope we can continue that.
That's an excellent idea. I'm wondering if our next Cousin newsletter we can, or maybe you could even write up a short little article or something to talk about, what are we each church going to do so that we don't forget. That's kind of cool. I like that idea. Say that again.
I said I can do that.
Okay. At Life Journey Church, we have, first of all, we're sending several people to conference because Life Journey is going to be doing the kids ministry at conference this year. So we are sending a handful of people there, but they're going to be working with the kids the whole week. They're not really doing conference per se.
David, is Samantha coming?
I don't think so.
Okay, just wondered.
Yeah, Alex will be there, but Alex is doing his Rev M there.
Mm-hmm.
So he will. So Alex will. Actually, I think Alex is already there because Rev M is this week. Well, at Life Journey, we've got. What was it's one of those God things. When we had a candlelight service on Wednesday night, we had various songs and activities, and we actually read the 49 names, and then there was a little story for each person. Something about them, their personality, something that they did, or something somebody said about them. So it was really kind of cool that when we went to the names, you had some kind of connection to each person. But what was really, one of those God things was there was 49 people in attendance. And so as each person lit a candle at the end, it was as if we were lighting a candle for each person, because there was 49 of us. So that was pretty cool. And then we had some of our Oasis groups, and mine included. We each had special services at our small group meetings during the week. And actually, that one picture in the lead article of that long rainbow tablecloth with the candles, that was actually at my Oasis, where I took that picture. I thought it was a pretty cool picture, so that's why I put it there. And we've got Vacation Bible School for the kids coming up in a couple weeks after conference, and that's always a big deal. Usually we have like about 70 kids, and that's a lot of work. It's a week long, and it's a lot of work. So that's coming up, and then we've got our anniversary festival coming up in August. I think this year, how old are we? I think this year is 25 years. I think we are 25 years this year. And that's the Restart. The Restart was 1991. There was an original church here back in the 70s, but it shut down. Didn't last very long, and then the Restart was in 91. So we'll be 25 in August this year. And I just started a new discipleship membership class, and we got a dozen people in that. And so they'll be joining the church on Labor Day Sunday when we get through the 9 Sundays for that. And I think that's about it. So Barry or Kathy, do you have anything you want to share before we get to Joy's topic?
I just wanted to chime in and say I was very moved by the newsletter, David, and I just am so grateful for all the hard work you put into that, and also for the responses from all of our churches. And Melody's devotional, I mean, I'm going to keep that forever, because that was one of the best responses I've heard from anywhere in terms of dealing with the feelings that we all have. So I just wanted to offer my gratitude for all of that. And also, I just wanted to ask everybody what you thought about possibly tonight choosing a time, maybe like lunch on Monday or something like that, where we could all look for each other at the registration table and either have lunch at that time together or set a time during the week to do it, so that we can coordinate our time at General Conference and use it really wisely and everything. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see what everybody thought.
I'm okay with that. I think I've got everybody's number. One of the things that I have to do, because my seminary's they're paying for me to be there. That's how I'm going. And so I'm going to have to be at the Earlham School of Religion booth at certain times. Because I have to earn my pay that they paid my way for this, and they bought my plane ticket. Sort of working around that, I'm open to anything, and we could always set a time and text when we're there because right now what's hard is that we don't know what things are going to look like and where people are going to be at a specific time, and I haven't even looked at the schedule yet. Is the schedule out?
Yeah, this is on the website there, And there's also an app that has everything on it.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Then I'll go look at that. But do we want to? I guess what time? What time was lunch scheduled on Monday?
I have a schedule in front of me. I think it's the right one. Who knows? But our plenary speaker is 10 to 12. Then the business forum starts at 1. So I don't know if that'll make for a really tight lunch for us.
Well, the thing is, even if we don't eat at that point, we can touch base and even figure out what we'll do when, even if it's not at that moment.
Yeah, I think Tuesday we might have more flexibility. Tuesday there's a pop topic until almost 12, and then business meetings at 1:30. At least that's what I have down.
Okay. Well, we can always meet like right outside the plenary session for a few minutes and sort of everybody synchronize and figure out what the best time is and whatnot, and then try to get something scheduled where to meet and stuff.
Yeah, we can do that. I'm supposed to be in the choir, but so far I only know of one rehearsal.
So Barry, that's a good idea. I know we've tried to get together in the past. I think we were together in Chicago, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we were. Well, but that didn't go so well from what I remember. Well, forget that.
Why didn't it go well?
Well, I won't get into it. Yeah, it was. We had a lot more in attendance, but it was a little stressful at some point during that meeting. That was right when that was right when I would basically, that's when I started, was at that general conference. So it was all new to me at that time.
Oh, okay.
And we were new to the network at that time.
Yeah, and I don't know when I can commit at this point because I've already made arrangements to have lunch with seminary friends and people that I'd only see that live in Florida and places that's the only time I can see them. So I don't know. I can't commit right now as to a certain date.
Well, I can always text you, and then if you can make it or not when we set the time.
Okay, that would work, but make sure you text me on this number because the church phone I'm leaving with one of our board of directors. Since we've got so much time difference, she can handle anything that comes up while I'm away.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, we're still there. Okay. I think Barry's point, I don't know, Barry, if I'm reading in, but I think his point was that if we scheduled a day now, then most of us would then have flexibility to do like what Colleen's doing and schedule lunches with other folks.
Yeah, I think what I heard, what I got from Colleen is that I think that they're going to schedule lunch, but I'm not sure they know when that's going to be. If I heard that correctly.
Who's going to schedule lunch?
No, Colleen and her seminary friends.
I thought she said she'd already done it.
Oh.
No, we have not. We're waiting till we get there to see when we go further.
Okay. Well, we arrived late Saturday night. Is there anybody else that'll be there on Sunday?
We get there Sunday late or in the evening.
Barry, are you there earlier?
No, we arrive late on Sunday night and leave in the pre-dawn hours on Saturday morning.
Kathy? Is Kathy with us?
No, she's not.
She's not tonight. Okay.
You know, we leave on Friday afternoon to come back. So I guess do we want? So let's. I guess Monday, let's Monday at noon we can touch base and figure out what we can do, if it's going to be right then or if we want to schedule something, whether it's lunch or dinner or whatever. We can figure it out when we get there. To me, it's sort of hard to, like I know I'm at the Marriott, so I'm not even in the conference hotel. And I don't know what the schedule is that I'm going to have to be at that booth either. So that's what's hard. So Joy, do you want to talk about the moderator?
Yeah. Are you all game to talk about it?
I'm fine.
Well, what is it you want to say, Joy?
Well, I know that we've got urgent voting, and I just wanted to make sure you have a chance to get to know Joe Cobb better. He is a nominee for governing board. You might not know him, and I know him pretty well. I thought I would email you out. He's done a new and improved bio, because the one that's online doesn't even show his current pastorate.
I already know him.
You know him? Oh, okay. But I imagine most of them know you. David, Gray, anybody else?
I can't hear you.
Colleen, you can turn your mic off. Well, anyway, Joe is originally from Kansas, which is one reason I know him, and became part of MCC early this century. And he is just a real dynamic fellow. I had him come to my seminary and speak. He has a book out that's really compelling, that talks about how to be family, even outside of the norms, and how he and his ex-wife have raised their children together, and how they worked through their experience of divorce. And I just really respect him as someone who's a good pastor, a good preacher, and is involved in his share of human rights issues. I also wanted to ask, I'm trying to sort out in my own voting, I'm trying to sort out what to think about the one incumbent who's running. I don't know Odetta at all. And so anyone who does, I'd appreciate some feedback.
Onetta was on my
Ordination Review Committee. I've recently had a little issue with her, with the whole governing board, with this absentee voting, and I wasn't very pleased with her answer, just put it that way.
I know her very well. Before I came to Louisville, Robin and I were at the Christ Chapel MCC in Santa Ana, California, which is where I grew up. And Onetta began her work with the denominational level leadership during that time when we were out in California. And she became the intentional interim pastor at Christ Chapel when Robin left. So the one thing that I remember about Onetta is that she has a really, really good mind for things like Robert's Rules of Order and the type of things that Judy Dale in our network used to mind in terms of governance and bylaws and all of that type of thing. So that's one of her strengths. And then one thing I remember from Christ Chapel after Robin and I came to Louisville and she became the intentional interim is that the first thing she did was she shut down the diaconate at Christ Chapel for dysfunctionality. And I thought that was a really good move because it was really dysfunctional. And she took immediate action there. So anyways, those are some of my experiences with Onetta.
And Barry, that's what has me perplexed, is that she is such a stickler for governance, and yet they changed the bylaws without having us vote on changing the bylaws.
Yeah, I think that circumventing the will of the General Conference is something that's probably going to be a big issue in Victoria in a lot of ways. So it's something that really needs to be talked about.
Well,
Is there
and,
any-
go ahead. Anybody else? In the governing board election, it's only the clergy candidates who, one of them, won't be selected unless, unless any of them don't get 50%. You have to have over 50% to get on board, but the three candidates, as I understand it, for the lay positions on the governing board, 3 positions is what we're filling. For the clergy, it's 4 positions, and we have 5 candidates. So that's why I'm trying to discern which ones.
Well, Joy, you're just going to have to vote your conscience on that and how the Spirit leads you. I would not feel right to say something about people I know trying to influence you, because that's my perception of that person. And so, you know Joe very well, so by all means vote for Joe if that's what you feel like it, but I would not want to sway you towards Onetta or the other clergy people that I do not know, but I like 2 of their resumes very well, their bios, and the same thing for 2 out of the 3 lay people. The paperwork I just read today said we were voting for 2 lay people, so maybe it is 3, but I thought it was 2.
It's hard to keep up with the information. When I looked at it, there's at the very bottom of the Emerge business documents, there's an addendum showing the extra position because Kareem resigned.
Yeah, that's right.
I really feel differently about it, Colleen. I feel like in a denomination, of course, is smaller than many, but we can't possibly know everyone. And so I really respect my colleagues' opinions when I'm trying to make a decision. Because, a resume is a piece of paper. It doesn't tell you about the person.
Well, I mean, Colleen, you could have an insight that may be helpful. I'm not sure that you'll really steer somebody, but you may know something that otherwise people wouldn't know that may be relevant. I mean, if you're not comfortable, that's okay.
I mean, I was glad to hear what Barry said because I don't know anything about her previous pastorates. I contacted one person at Founders to ask and just got very vague replies, so that doesn't help me decide. She's the most controversial of the candidates, probably, because her role in the nomination process for moderator has been questioned. Not by me, by other people.
So, are there any other topics about the General Conference?
How have people found that the faith statement is received by your congregations?
The statement of faith was received really well at Louisville.
Did you go over it at Life Journey, David?
It was received pretty well, and I think some were surprised because I think that some thought that a lot of people in MCC wanted to take Jesus out of it, and so that was a good thing that it was probably more Christ-centric than I think some people had thought it was going to be at Life Journey.
And Gary, what about Columbus? Have you reviewed it with the congregation?
We did, and like David said about Life Journey, the congregation was actually very pleased to sense how Christ-centered it was. It is, actually. Because I think sometimes we wonder what everybody else in the denomination is thinking or doing. And we feel like we're like off to the side somewhere, so it was nice to see something that looked like, oh, that looks like us. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if the statement of faith causes too much of a ruckus at conference. I think it's going to be more about the elections than it is just because of what's happened the last year. Than it will be the statement of faith. And I think for the statement of faith, I think the committee, the way that they released the document, they took feedback, made changes, they had the supplemental document to explain everything they did. I think they really went overboard to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And and that probably went a long way because I mean I have not heard, it seems like all the chit chat has been about elections, not about the statement of faith, at least from my end. That's what it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've read the accompanying document, and it is really thoughtful, and I think would be a great study for our local churches.
Yeah, that probably is true, and I think that just shows how well the committee worked and how thoughtful they were. I mean, that really was pretty incredible that they did that and how thoughtful they were.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a prayer request when we get to prayer request time.
Well,
I wanted to say one more thing. I can't seem to find it online, but if you haven't read the review that was done at the request of the governing board by Phil and David, it is really helpful. I could email that to you if you haven't found it. It came because there was some dispute about the nomination slate for moderator, and so 2 people were asked as independent voices to review the process, the bylaws, interview people, and then they assessed whether there were any serious flaws to jeopardize, the roster of candidates. Have you all seen that?
Yes,
yes.
Okay, good.
So, but
Are we ready to move on for prayer requests?
Yes.
So Barry?